good evening. Welcome to our worldwide community gathering. Before we officially kick off, we're just so excited to be here together with you tonight. I'm going to unmute everybody and we're all going to say hi to put our voices in the room. And it's so exciting. Give me 2 seconds. Oh, you can do it already. Unmute yourself and say hi like we do when we say bye, but we'll say hi.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Good to see everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Yay. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Great to see
There
you.
we go.
Hello.
Hi,
everyone.
everybody.
I'm going to mute everyone.
Hi, Eliza.
Hi. Okay. Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to this evening's worldwide community gathering. I'm so excited about tonight. As you know, we're gearing up for the Loyalty to Your Soul workshop in September. And tonight's topic is, what does it mean to you to be loyal to your soul? And I'm just thrilled to be here with all of you tonight to hear about this from the one and only Drs. Ron and Mary Holnick, who I'm going to toss it over to right now.
Thank you so much, Eliza. Welcome, everyone. We're really excited to be here this evening. We're excited to have sharing on this topic. It's so relevant.
Oh boy.
Yes, I was sharing with the staff before we began that this day started with what potentially could have been a really good I'm upset because. Fortunately, we were able to bypass that and not fall into it. But this gives us a wonderful opportunity to talk about the principles and practices and to also hear from you the questions you have about what it means to be loyal to your soul.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. Well, how about if we begin with the centering and then a 5-minute peace meditation.
Okay. Didn't we just do that?
We did it.
we? No.
We did it with the assistants.
Oh, all right. It was so long ago. Are you going to do it or you want me to do it?
Why don't you do the center
All right.
round?
Lord God of all creation, we ask just now that we all be filled, surrounded, protected, and most of all, aware of the loving essence that is, in fact, the essence of us all. And we stand forward in that loving this evening to share with ourselves, to share with each other, and most of all, to share in a way that just simply opens up a whole new way of being in this world and what it's all about and how we can shift perspective. That's all it takes. And Lord, your guidance is so appreciated. So be it.
All right. And now we'll move into our 5-minute peace meditation. And I invite you to bring your awareness to your heart, your already open heart. Breathing in the loving, breathing out the loving, knowing that your already open heart, your loving, is a portal to the awareness of your soul and to what it means to you to be loyal to your soul. Life presents us with so many opportunities, some of which at times can be quite challenging. And the principles and practices of spiritual psychology are vehicles, tools for lifting our awareness, assisting us in seeing through soul-centered eyes, moving into that higher perspective, the perspective offered by the spiritual context, such that when school goes into session for any one of us, and we find that our Earth School curriculum has been activated, that we have ways of being with ourselves, of relating with ourselves with compassion, and assisting ourselves in the process of remembering, oh, this is an opportunity. This is a stepping stone to higher consciousness, to a deepening and elevated awareness of the divine being that I am, of the loving that I am, and that everyone else is too. And we ask a special blessing of light and loving for all who are gathered here this evening, for those that will be joining us, for those that will be watching the replay. And we extend this blessing of light and loving to all humanity, to all people, to all life forms, knowing that we are all students in the Earth School, that we all have a divine loving nature. Some of us may simply be more aware of it at this moment than others. And also to know that awakening can take place at any moment. At any moment, there can be a flash of awareness, of elevation, of inspiration, and of grace, such that we come more fully alive and awake in the awareness of our soul. So be it.
Took the House, she voted against reauthorizing the Voting Rights Act. She voted against
Be good. All right. Well, I asked Ron by way of starting this evening if he would share a bit about how the book Loyalty to Your Soul came to be written.
One of my favorite topics. One night, I had a dream. And in the dream, I was standing beside a big kind of an outdoor auditorium. And John Roger was delivering a talk. And I was just standing out there. I'm not sure why, but it doesn't really matter. And at the end of it, he came out the door that was very near to where I was standing. And he handed me a book. And I looked at it, and the title of the book was Loyalties. And that was the end of it. And off he went. Well, it wasn't too much later that we were actually having a meeting with him. Excuse me. And I mentioned this dream. I said, hey, you know what? I had this dream. And when I was done sharing, he just looked at me and he simply said, that wasn't a dream. And that was, what could I say? Oh, so I put myself onto a schedule because we were also very fortunate. Not too long after that, we were having a meeting with David White. And we were having, I think, lunch with him at one of his events, because we know David. And I asked him what was his schedule? How did he do that? And he shared what to me is a gem, which I'll share with you right now. He said, if you're really sincere about writing a book, you must put yourself on a schedule and stick to it. So devise a schedule for yourself of a number of days per week and hours per day, and then stick to it. And you may have to work at it a bit to find out what that schedule is. But once you've got it, that is your promise to Spirit to do its work in this world. And so what I found is that I could write 4 days a week, because the weekends were class, and I didn't want to get up even earlier on the weekends, and an hour and a half a time, 4 days a week. So that's 6 hours, 6 hours a week, basically. And I did that. For, it took quite some time. It wasn't something that happened overnight, but that produced the result. So any of you who are looking for how do you get something done like that, that's, I would tell you the exact same thing. And there were mornings where I just sat there, and it was early in the morning. I did this before Mary was up most of the time. And there were mornings I just sat there and nothing came through at all. And I just sat there the entire time waiting. And then there were days I would just sit down and immediately I'd start receiving inspiration and writing it down as fast as I could. So for those of you who are looking at how to do a project like that, that I would give you the same advice. Whatever it is you're wanting to do, you have got to put yourself on a discipline. And the word discipline, what does it really mean? Disciple. Well, you become a disciple of that which you are creating. And so we just throw that out to you as for your consideration.
And for you, Ron, what would you say most quintessentially loyalty to your soul means to you?
Well, that takes me into a subject, that to us is just coming more and more forward in today's world. And the way that we're looking at this is that what is going on is nothing less than those of us who are ready are allowing ourselves to awaken. I have to use the word awaken. I don't know what other word to use, into an entirely new operating system in consciousness than the one that has been prevalent for the last several thousands of years. And the main function, the way it functions, that makes it different and unique, is that no longer is our main concern how to set up our lives so that we're successful on this planet at this time in the material world. That's the old operating system. Just think about that. As long as you have that operating system, then you're always going to be looking outside for how to make things better. And I mean, all you have to do is look around at all of the focus on economic gain. It's just, but in the new system says how you relate to the world, or as we like to say, how you relate to the issue, is the main concern of the new operating system. In other words, it's how you are inside with yourself and how you are living your life that is the main variable, not how successful you're being out in the world. That is a huge game changer. And that's why the title of the book was Loyalty to Your Soul. I didn't realize that at the time. But oh my gosh, as we look at the way the world is unfolding, the basic structure that most of us has been living for most of our lives is being transformed.
What I would add to that, Ron, is that the operating system that's moves us into the context of living life, being loyal to our soul, really is, I think, rooted in one of the foundational principles that we are not human beings with a soul, but rather we are divine beings having and using a human experience for the purpose of awakening. And the distinction I would really make about the operating system, another operating system that we all come with, is that it's the operating system of the ego. And the ego tends to see things in terms of the duality, in terms of good, bad, right, wrong, whereas
success, failure.
Yes. And that moving into the spiritual context moves us into the context and the opportunity to really see with the eyes of our heart, to see with the eyes of our soul, and that is a totally different way of seeing ourselves, seeing other people, and seeing the world. So
and while it may sound like just a strange thing, success is no longer measured in terms of this world. It has nothing to do with how much money you earn, how popular you are, any of those kinds of things. It has to do with your ability to give access to that consciousness that is who you truly are, and the nature of which is simply loving, regardless of anything else that's going on here. I mean, think about that for a minute. That's huge. It's huge. But you know what? The time for that is at hand. It's been predicted. We have the tools now. We have the awareness of how to do it. Those of you who are USM grads, you've had the experience of what it's like to have that happen in your lives. And it's like, whoa, this is amazing. I mean, I don't know how else to talk about it.
Well, one thing I'd like to clarify, it's like, as in our experience of sharing the principles and practices of spiritual psychology, one of the things I would say is not only do people come more awake and aware, but also the quality of their lives in physical world
Yeah.
reality does improve, is enhanced.
It seems
I
to be
think that's-
correlated.
Yes, and I think it's important to say that, Ron,
Yeah.
because it's not as though spiritual psychology somehow is against
No,
the material
no,
world.
not at
or
all. Not at all. It's
making
neutral.
Yes,
It's neutral.
yeah,
It's as if you were going to evaluate the school you went to by how beautiful the structure of the building was. And it's just, no. It's what you learn in the building that's important. And that's what's going on in the world today. And it's challenging because most people don't understand that. And so they get frightened, they get it's like their whole world is being turned upside down, and it really is for a lot of us.
this is a very challenging time on this
Yeah.
planet. So we want to take a few moments with the handout that was available for you to download. There's a little bit that we'd like to share, which is an excerpt from our other book, Remembering the Light Within. And we have some self-reflective questions that will be like starter questions for our conversation this evening. So the first quote is from the wonderful poet Amanda Gorman. There's always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it.
Now you may remember that was what she said at, what was it?
Biden's inauguration.
Biden's inauguration. It was this young woman of color, and I'm watching her. I'm going. It's amazing that a young person would have such wisdom, and not only that, but that they chose her. I mean, I thought that was just fantastic. It was
All
a
right.
good sign to me.
Yes, absolutely. And what follows is the excerpt from the afterword of Remembering the Light Within. Have you ever experienced an electrical power outage in the evening, one that called you to light a candle in a room filled with darkness? Occasionally, when my family was summering at our cottage on a beautiful remote lake in northern Wisconsin, there were fierce thunderstorms, and the incandescent lights would go out, sometimes for several hours. There were no street lights, so the darkness of the night enveloped the cottage. It happened often enough that my parents had an ample supply of white candles close at hand. I actually loved those experiences, as there was something deeply intimate, a kind of communion that took place among us as we sat together in the candlelight. Sometimes we played a children's card game. Sometimes we drank hot chocolate. Sometimes my father told us a story. And sometimes we simply sat together in the silence, listening to the rain on the roof. Perhaps like me, you appreciate the peaceful illumination that radiates from a single lighted candle. In those moments, darkness recedes in the face of luminous light. Now consider the beauty, brilliance, and radiance that emanate as a single human being courageously stands forth in the loving, fulfilling their purpose, sharing the glory of their light, their love, their gifts, and their joy. This reminds me and inspires me to also stand forth and share the radiant light and love of my heart and soul. Similarly, have you ever fallen asleep in a dark room, nurtured into the awareness of the peace and love within the hearth of your own heart by the warmth and flickering flames of a fireplace fire? The experiences and expressions of loving are abundant and ever present. your experiences on this earth are designed for awakening into the awareness of yourself as an emanation, a radiation, an expression of living love. They're intended to be vehicles for enlightenment, fostering you in remembering the light within and in loyalty to your soul. Waking up into the awareness of your loving ushers you into the spiritual context, into living life in communion with your essential spiritual nature. As Buddha said, thousands of candles can be lit from a single candle, and the life of the candle will not be shortened. We add, come awake in your loving and live into what it means to be loyal to your soul. We have a beautiful quote from USM's founder. Above all, practice being loyal to your soul. On the back of the handout are really some starter questions, because the conversation this evening is focused around what does it mean to you to be loyal to your soul. So we're going to take about 5 minutes. You'll have an opportunity to read through the questions. Perhaps one of them is a question you'd love to ask about. Perhaps you have a question pertaining to your life experience and what it means to you to be loyal to your soul. That is the theme this evening, and we're going to ask that the questions please be on that topic. So we'll just take a few minutes. As I said, you can read through these questions. If there's one of them that stands out to you, maybe you'd like to ask it. If you have your own question, we'd be happy to receive that as well. All right. Well, while you were taking a look at these, having the opportunity to review them, our
Mhm.
doorbell rang, and it's the man who services our gate by the name of Heaven. Somehow that seems very
How appropriate
auspicious.
then.
Yes, beautiful. All right, so
I mean, you got to know he's living up to his name. When I just called him late this afternoon, and he's here already to service the gate. That's
Yeah.
the kind of
yes, that's Heaven.
that's heaven.
All right, so we're going to open this up for some sharing, for some Q&A. If you would like to share, you can raise your electronic hand. And as I said, it may be that you'd like to hear us speak to one of these questions,
Or maybe you have your own.
and maybe you have a question of your own. We do ask that they be on the topic of what does it mean to you to be loyal to your soul. All right. And if you're new to USM, we surely invite you to share as well. And please let us know that you are new. All right. So Gemini, let's start with you. And just a reminder also, please go to the heart of what you want to share. And that way we'll be able to hear from a number of people. Hello.
Hi, nice to see you again. I graduated in 2011. So
Wow.
Wonderful.
been a while. So I have a question that's to do with loyalty. What does it mean to be loyal to my own soul? And it's to do with career and life's work. And the question is, how can I tell what dreams or what feel like dreams inside of me are from ego, others, or my authentic self?
That is such a great question. First, I'd like to respond just by sharing a little bit about purpose. From our perspective, we all share one purpose in common, and that is the purpose to awaken into the awareness of who we are as a spiritual being, to awaken into our essential loving nature. And then there's a second purpose that has to do with sharing your gifts, meaningful contribution. And one of the ways that sometimes is helpful in distinguishing the voice of the ego from the voice of the authentic self, it's like the voice of the ego very often wants to do something big and important
In this world.
It wants to receive recognition.
Wants to earn a lot of money, wants to be important, wants all those kinds of things.
Wants to be in charge, wants to make something happen. Maybe underneath it, there's some kind of judgment that a certain condition or circumstance is wrong. And so it's an energy of, I want to right this wrong. Things shouldn't be this way. So those are a few of the ways that we can identify when the ego is at work. With the soul, the soul's nature is giving, it's loving. So when we're in harmony with our soul's purpose, very often there's a sense of guidance, of inspiration, and of receiving a transmission of loving energy that infuses us with an intention to take action in a particular direction. So there's this receiving part, receiving the guidance, receiving the inspiration, and that may be ongoing. For example, for ourselves, here we've been doing classes at USM for more than 40 years now. So it's been an ongoing process of attuning, of listening, and doing our best to follow the flow of guidance, and then to share the giving, the moving it out from a heartfelt place.
And see, all the things that you said, all the things one would like to achieve in the world, there's nothing wrong with any of that. Knock yourself out, do as much and become whatever it is that you'd like to be in terms of success in this world. It's not about that. It's about where you are inside as you do it. That's the main distinction. You can do it from a loving place, and you can do it from a very competitive dog-eat-dog kind of place. That's your choice. Your soul doesn't care about the level of success in this world, because it knows that this world is merely a school. And we're using the school as an opportunity to learn what it means to be more loving inside of ourselves. Why is that important? Because the essence of the soul is loving. And this to us is one of the main things that we're moving forward into the awareness now at this time. It's one of the USM principles. We just didn't realize how important it was at the time. Out beyond our ideas of right doing and wrongdoing, Rumi said, there is a field. I'll meet you out there. He was saying, regardless of what you're doing in this, that's not what's important. It's not that you win or lose that counts. See, it's where you are doing it from inside. You want to earn a lot of money? Great. Can you do it in a loving way? That's the big distinction.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. That's deeply helpful.
Beautiful.
Thanks for asking the question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gemini. Good to see you again. All right, Alexandra.
Hello, I'm Alex. Okay, I'm also a graduate, and it's interesting. I just finished the 3 years, just doing it back to back, and I'm realizing how much like being loyal to your soul, it's not a destination, it's a constant practice.
That's right.
And it's, it's almost every time I'm not loyal to my soul, it's how am I bringing it back to that being awareness, having gentleness with myself, like holding it in the place of love, because I thought loyalty to my soul is like getting purpose. I'll do this. I'll help, the planet, whatever it might be. And I'm like, actually, no, it's about first taking a step back. And can I hold the things that I don't like about myself, my frustrations, or maybe the way that I react with love? It's holding kind of these points of duality. And I had recently a very trying experience because it came to a point with work professionally. I was at, I got my dream job at Google, and it was, my parents immigrated here. It was everything on by the book, so it should be good. And as I was there, I realized there was a lot of things out of integrity. And I had to really stay quiet and to really kind of go inside, because it's almost against the grain. Like, why would you leave that job? Why would you consider anything else? And I realized, well, it's actually not serving my soul in terms of my growth and the way I'm showing up. That's the energy I'm realizing. I didn't want to be in that place inside as I was doing it. Mm-hmm. And fortunately, it had to come with that. And it was the hardest decision, but I'm so grateful for it, because it taught me that I have this loyalty to myself and to put myself first. And it might look so different, and people are very kind of, disoriented about it, but it's, taking a step forward, maybe not asking all the, not needing to understand why, because I want to understand why before I make a decision, but can I just make the decision trust and just allow with what will come forward. So it's still an ongoing process, but I feel like I'm finally starting to really see what that means. And those choices might be hard, but it's so worth it because now I feel so much freer. I feel so much like more expansive, and it's been such a gift that only I had the keys to give it to myself. And that's what I learned in the process.
Beautiful.
That's right. Well said.
Oh, but what you shared is really inspiring. And I acknowledge your courage in recognizing that you were paying a price, that you were making a compromise that was not in harmony with your essential nature. And it takes courage to choose really for yourself, to choose the path with heart, to stay true inside. So I acknowledge you, and what a great example that you're sharing about what loyalty to your soul has meant to you through this recent experience. It's so wonderful though, Alexandra, because doing that, it's like you strengthen that muscle.
Mm.
You strengthen that muscle.
Not only that, excuse me, not only do you strengthen that muscle, but while it may seem like a small thing, to that degree, you take us all into the new age that's coming. Because you're doing your part to make that transition. It's enough people doing that that is what takes us into the next level of this whole game. So thank you.
It's interesting you say that because I think I've also in the process redefined what it means to be of service, because it's like being of service to myself and the rest becomes a byproduct. Like you don't have to do these grand gestures. Those are great, don't get me wrong, but it's really, the amount of people we see on the day-to-day, like that's where the service, can we look at people with love? Can we, as we walk and do the normal things? And I think that's the greatest service, but it's not in the way that I thought it should look like. And so it's almost a little bit disorienting in that sense, but you're right, it's the muscle that needs to be strengthened. And it's been a really kind of a reshifting and reframing in the process. So
yes. Well, in what you're saying, what I'm understanding from it is the recognition that your way of being, your presence is of service. And that doesn't really have anything to do with the size of what you're doing or accomplishing. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alexandra. All right. Dion.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much to you beautiful souls. To me, to be loyal to my soul is to follow the energy, the light, the loving, whatever is calling me along. And the other part is really the same thing, but I would say it's being committed to sitting in the fire sometimes, being so committed to my soul's growth that I'm willing to stay where it's hard. And so, as you both know, when one of your positions opened up, I wanted really much to come and work for you. And then it turned out that when I asked Spirit said, stay where I am, where it's more challenging to stay. And most of my work life is amazing and reinforcing. And I get huge, understanding that I'm in the right place, doing what I need to be doing. And then I'm also in a 3.5-year relationship project so far with my boss. And I anticipate it being perhaps at least another 3 years long based on where we're at in our careers. So the number 4 on the assignment really is for me poignant because I do get tired. I get really tired of continually, I use my tools, I do my trios, I go and use my principles. And I'll give an example from this week, this past week. I looked at the side of this person's face as she was facing elsewhere. And I remembered my USM word was flooding. I just flooded her with light. And actually, I flooded her with love, loving, just flooding. And a sensation in my tummy made me feel sort of uncertain, but excited, like it was a lovely little new thing to be doing. And then, life happened. And the next day, things were really hard from her to me.
Mm.
And so I don't know if I'm bumming up against the shadow side here, that's really in going on here. I think if I go right to the heart of what these themes are for me, I know I have got the stacker who is representing for me my parental sort of combo from way back when. That back then my idea was that I was wrong for being alive. I was wrong to even be in existence. That I've done enough healing where now it's that I think in her eyes I'm the wrong person for the job. And so it's a different, less deep thing, but it's still a lot of work on a daily basis to
Yeah.
kind of keep working with this spiral. I'm going up, I can feel I'm going up, and it's a lot of hard work. So
Well, I hear you, and what you said about the basic misidentification that you held, and then what you're experiencing, what your perception is of what her perception of you is. So, one of the questions that you're familiar with as a grad, which to me is such a powerful question. Well, what is your soul attempting to assist you in learning through this experience, through this relationship, through what you perceive as being projected towards you?
I think it gets to what Ron was saying earlier, that everything external doesn't matter in the sense that we think of it usually.
It matters in this world.
Yes.
It matter where in the spiritual reality of what's going on at this time in this world.
What I would offer for your consideration, one of the principles of spiritual psychology, we've modified it just a bit recently, that is the outer proceeds from the inner.
Mm-hmm.
The outer proceeds from the inner.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's an ink blot world.
Mm-hmm.
Outer experience is a reflection of inner reality. And so one of the possibilities for consideration is that there's perhaps some place in your consciousness that is holding a misidentification that you're the wrong person,
Mm-hmm.
or that there's something wrong, or that you don't fit.
Mm-hmm.
And because sometimes these things that are being mirrored to us are really quite subtle. They're not blatant or obvious in terms of what it is that's being mirrored. And sometimes just sitting with it and asking, is there something I'm holding inside of me that's attracting this experience to me?
Mm-hmm.
Is there something about what I perceive is her story about me that is part of what has been, in a more subtle level, some of my story about me?
Mm-hmm. I will keep working with it.
Another thing for your consideration.
Wait, Ron, I'm not quite finished here.
Go ahead.
So, and this, what I'm offering to you is not doesn't make you wrong.
Mhm.
It's just more, it's an opportunity to look at what some of the subtle subtext might be. Does that make sense to you at all?
It does, and I think I need to add a little tiny piece to the context, which is that a year and a half ago, when other supervisors and I got upset about enough things happening, we reported her to HR. And I think those people are all gone. I'm the only one left. And I am sort of, I think, by other people's understanding of her, I am on her enemy list and will remain there. I don't know if that's true. That's not for me to say, but there is that piece of it that my upsetness has landed me in one sense, but I needed to go through that. I needed to state my piece. I needed to ask for what I needed, and then find out, well, this person isn't really interested in kind of learning there with me. So I need to just find my way through this.
Well, and it's interesting. I had an experience many years ago, it's coming to mind, where I learned about a training program offered by a particular institute. And I really loved their training program. I loved the content. I thought it would be a wonderful opportunity for kind of deepening in perception and perspective. And but I wasn't one of them. So when I applied to their institute, they rejected my application. And I was perfectly qualified, and I knew that. And so I asked the question, is there the possibility that through an interview or something of that nature, that perhaps you might reconsider? And I received a phone call. It was a lovely phone call from someone who represented that institute and organization. And the question she asked me was, why would you want to go where you're not wanted? Which was, wow.
Good question.
I thought it was a really powerful question. And I realized that I had no need to press this or to try to create some kind of exemption or whatever, particularly given that statement.
I get you.
I was not going to be welcome there.
I remember that.
I've been at this organization for 20 years, and so there's a little bit of history there that really enables me to live the life, that I have and so forth. But I think you called up that story for a reason, and you gave me a little opening, which is you used the word rejection, and I can suddenly flooding back. I'm remembering being in schools where we moved a lot, and I didn't feel like I was a part of the groups. So I'm going to explore that some more rather than the earliest years. I'm going to go forward in time a little more and see if I can't capture some things there.
Yes, beautiful. Because some of the subtle work, is such a beautiful opportunity for really cleansing the lens of our own perception, which is populated with beliefs and misunderstandings, misinterpretations, and the emotional energy of painful experiences. So I acknowledge you and
thank you.
Encourage you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your sharing.
Thank you very much.
There's another thing that your sharing is bringing forward. Basically, there are three kinds of people in the world from each person's perspective. There are those people who see things the way that you see them.
Mhm.
Those people will be your friends.
Hmm.
There are those people who don't see things the way you do and take issue with the way that you see things. Those people potentially are your teachers,
Mhm.
because they put you in a position where you practice all of these things, and that's how you learn how to deal with that. And then there are those people with whom you admire and that you seek to know them better wherever possible. Those people are your teachers. All of those roles are necessary.
Mhm. Okay, that's interesting.
And so if we want to grow, then we start to value our teachers, who are the people we don't see eye to eye on,
Mhm.
because they're teaching us something. Why are they drawn to us?
Yeah, no kidding.
So there's learning in that kind of a relationship. In the long run, those are really the most valuable, because they will tend to. So typically what most people want to do is get away from those people as quickly as possible.
Mhm.
But spending a little bit more time wondering what is it about them that is upsetting to me is a very valuable question to be asking,
Mhm.
because whatever it is, I want to heal it.
Yep, absolutely.
Oh, so I just find it useful when I'm, when I tend to think that way.
It's helpful. Thank you.
Beautiful.
I mean,
Thank you so much.
they're just a quick example. There's a gentleman present in the audience today that he and I were having breakfast this morning, and we were sitting there, and another USM grad came by, and he was sharing several things, and I said to him, I want you to really know how much I value everything that you share and what you bring to the table.
Mm.
Well, it was all he could do to stop from crying out loud, because that was such valuable feedback for him to receive,
Mm.
that he just went right into that loving place,
Mhm.
was touched by it.
I have realized that where gratitude does not exist, that's where my learning is.
Gratitude within you, you mean?
Gratitude about a situation.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well said. Well
Mhm.
said.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Really appreciate all your help. It's very useful. Thank you.
Lynn,
Hello,
Hello.
hi.
thank you for calling on me. I'm a 2002 grad and most of the time I feel like I've got a lot of this work dialed in, but these questions made me think of something that came up just the other day, and I really do want to ask you about it. As you know, my husband went through a long illness and passed away about a year and a half ago.
Mm.
And I got through that okay with a lot of help and from friends, and a lot of self-forgiveness on the back end. And now I'm about to move into a new adventure where I'll be in a service position full time. And I'm looking forward to that. But this past weekend, my husband's dog started to get very ill.
Mm.
He's quite old, and I'm sure he's working on his exit strategy eventually here, but I found myself for the first time, I think in my life, angry at God. I was raging at God. You know, it's like I can understand when I suffer. I can understand when people suffer, but when an animal, like why? And so I went through this period of time where I was using my USM skills. I was trying to bring myself back, but it honestly felt like something inside of me like had taken over, and I was just really pissed at God. And I've never felt that way before. And it did dissipate over, like maybe the course of a day and a half, but I was stunned that I had that in me, and I'm a little concerned about that. So I'm wondering if you can address that, because it really surprised me.
Yeah. Well,
first of all, I would just share one thing. God can take it.
Thank you.
In other words,
I was going to get hit by lightning, I swear.
No. It's yes, and I think part of this, maybe Lynn, part of this is accepting your own humanity, and maybe there's also something else here having to do with an attachment to this animal and the connection he represents to Clyde.
Well, I definitely feel that, and I feel grief for sure. And I'm familiar with that feeling, and I know how to work with grief, but I've never felt rage like that before. I was so mad.
I hear you, and I acknowledge you for your honesty, for your authenticity, and it sounds like it was in there and it needed to come up and out.
Maybe. You mean like it's done?
Well, I don't know about that, but I know you are pretty diligent about working your process. And the fact that you, my impression is that you allowed yourself to experience and to express it. You didn't try to cap it or stuff it down. It was like it was present. You allowed yourself to experience it and to express it. And it sounds like you also had, I don't know if this is accurate or not, but that you had perhaps compassion for yourself in that process, experiencing your humanity, experiencing the outrage and rage.
Well, I felt like it's pretty clear I don't have capacity to grok the big picture.
Now let's stop right there. Because from my point of view, that would be a very limiting belief.
Really? You mean we can come to understand why other beings are suffering and stuff?
Sure.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
I could give you that in one sentence.
Well,
it's their opportunity. It's their opportunity to let go of something that's not working and replace it with something that will be of a loving nature.
This dog's been pretty loving.
yeah. Lynn, what I would add about that is that part of awakening, in my experience, is shift in perspective. It's like the perspective I have now is different from the perspective I had 2 years ago. It's different from quite different from the perspective I had 40 years ago.
Oh, okay.
You understand what I'm saying? I
think
just
so.
encourage you to like cancel, deflect, delete on that statement.
Okay.
It's like you have the an incredible capacity to know.
Wow. Now I want to know. I want to know.
I want to know the.
It's interesting because it was part of the rage, you know, it was just like, and then when it dissipated, that feeling went away. It was, and I wondered, it's like, was that in me, or was something coming through, or was that just triggering something? I don't know, but
Hard to tell.
I like the idea that we can know. I like that a lot.
You can know. It's like that beautiful David Pomeranz song. I think it's in every one of us.
Yeah, I know that song.
We can all know everything without ever knowing why.
Wow.
It's in every one of us.
I think it's time for me to reread Loyalty to Your Soul. I got a feeling that I'm going to get something different out of it this time. Yeah. Thank you.
And I encourage you. I mean, what you're bringing forward here is amazing and such a beautiful opportunity to move to another perspective. And maybe part of that perspective is asking, you could ask as part of a bedtime intention. It's Spirit, please assist me in coming to greater clarity and knowing of your purpose in X. But I would ask gently and under grace for your highest good.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel kind of contrite that I was so like mean this weekend.
Oh, you know, I just encourage you. It's like you didn't do anything wrong. And if this catalyzes you to say, oh my gosh, there's more here for me, that's beautiful. And
That's true.
it sounds like you love this dog dearly.
Well, I think you were right that I love the dog. It has seen me through the last couple of years.
Yes.
But it's also like he's actually on the same medication Clyde was on.
Oh,
Bringing up, it's like a double grief blow. But
yeah.
I felt grief before. Grief is not something I am uncomfortable with. It's the rage that was just shocking. I don't think I've ever felt that in my life. It was like so weird. And then I was watching myself raging at God and going, wow, I've never seen myself do this before.
Well, it sounds like a new level of opportunity.
I think so.
And I would just suggest that with that opportunity comes a gift.
Thank you. I like that perspective. I think I will choose to adopt that perspective. Thank you.
Also, do you have access to a good animal communicator?
I think there's some through USM, right? Some USM grads who are, right?
Yes. And I can
Yeah.
give you that information if you want. And
Bonnie can share it with you.
That would be great. I would appreciate that. Yeah.
And in addition, there's something else, believe it or not, that I want to ask of you. So send me an email. That'll remind me. All right?
Okay, I will do that, of course. Yeah. And thank you for your time and your expertise and everything you've ever done. I really appreciate it.
All right.
Love
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
It's always fun being with you.
Thank you.
Oh, man. Likewise.
Thank you. All right, Carrie.
Oh, thank you for calling on me. So I have an opportunity to challenge the part of myself that I have been denying. So my husband had a stroke 2 years ago, and I severely kind of hurt my body trying to take care of him for 2 years. And I put him in a board and care home 4 months ago and moved to Prana, and which was really hard on him. He's up in Sacramento and I'm in LA. And it's probably not the right facility. So now we have a facility we're going to put him in where there's a bunch of vets, because there's 4 ladies in that facility that don't really communicate. And he's got dementia, but he still has an active mind and needs to interact. So I found this facility that has lots of vets, lots more people to interact with, more with it. And they have available a couples room. So I grabbed it, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to live with him. So the challenge is I really did not share myself openly with him. I was overly compliant and, pleasing to him. I think he might have been open to a lot of my spiritual stuff or some of my thoughts. And the other thing that's up for me is I've always wanted to teach, and I don't express myself. I consider myself a good listener, so I feel like the opportunity here, I've been immersing myself in the spiritual teachings of Prana. I feel there's an opportunity for me to share myself with him instead of feeling dominated. Or just I'm overly compliant and letting him be sort of the prince of the kingdom. So I want to open myself up more. I'm a little afraid of it. I still need to set limits about caregiving. I can't, my body still has not recovered in 4 months. He is very demanding, but he's got dementia. So he's demanding, like, let's go on vacation to Mexico when he can't even sit up in his wheelchair, or let's go bowling, or, it's cute, but I have to be comfortable with being firm. And I'm a little challenged between controlling and having he's very willful, and I'm thinking I need willfulness. I need a sense of authority. You were talking about what is the mirror reflecting inside of me. So and my ministerial blessing says it's a rod of strength that allows you to stand more upright and know yourself in a greater way. I want to be able to share lovingly without being controlling or demanding or firm in such a way that it's not loving. And I was never a mom, so I think I missed a little bit on that. It was my opportunity to learn how to be the firm motherly love. So
well, it sounds like you've really mulled this over, that you've given it significant reflection. And it sounds like you feel clear about the decision that you're making, and also that you recognize the opportunity for yourself to bring forward the strength of your heart, to express your truth, and to do it such that would ride on the energy of loving.
That's my prayer. Yeah, that's my prayer.
And I encourage you, actually write it as a prayer. Consider writing it as a prayer and asking for Spirit's assistance and support.
I got a wonderful new discipline. I have to share it with you. I'm taking the Blessings of Your Ministry workshop, and we were to write our own blessings.
Yes.
And it's just been pouring forth. I start out, the Spirit places its blessing, and it just pours out. It's a whole new joyful form of journaling for me.
Well, and You know, as I listen to your sharing, it sounds like you truly recognize this time in your life and in your relationship with your husband as an opportunity to be loyal to your soul, to fulfill that particular line in your ministerial blessing, to learn what it means to love unconditionally in this situation, and to take care of yourself. So that the loving kindness extends not only to him, but to you. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense to you,
It
Carrie.
is. I'm hoping I can be open and not, I do withhold. And
I have withheld in the past.
I have withheld in the past. And so this is my opportunity to let loving express itself. If I feel I can't do it, I'm just going to trust that. Ask for it to come forward.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That is so incredible what you just said, of recognizing that is who I am. That is the energy that animates me, flows through me. And I can call on that energy to support me and assist me.
So, and I do say I don't know a lot, but I do know that it happens. The knowing comes forward by itself, sort of. So that is, I know the knowing is in there, and it will manifest. It will show up when I need it. So I'm going to trust that.
That's the most important thing right there. Because before you were talking about you really need to do more of this and less of that and all of those, as if you were like planning it now. and I would be totally in accord with what Mary is saying, is let go of all of that. Just let go of all of that so that you can be open to Spirit's guidance in the moment when it's all unfolding.
Yeah, I have to trust the loving to really come forward.
Well, see, that's the essence of it all. I mean,
And that's the essence of who you are.
And knowing that is who I am, at my heart and my soul.
That you are an instrument of love.
Yeah.
And if that is your intention, that is so powerful.
That is my intention.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you so much, Carrie.
God bless you. I want to say I graduated in 1992.
Wow, Carrie, amazing.
Yeah, love you guys.
Love you too. Thank you. Tabby.
Hi, Ron and Mary. Did you call on me?
Yes.
Oh, thank you so much. It's such a blessing to be in your presence. Thank you for this gift of gathering. I graduated in the 2017 class, and I didn't know we were going to have this extra bonus, which I really appreciate to once again come together with you. My heart is racing. I decided last night that I would ask this question, and it's my first time speaking out. It's difficult. It has been difficult for me. I'm trying to come forward and hide less, which I have had a problem with. Anyway, over the last year, I've been lucky enough to have a regular meditation practice. It's not very long, but I've been able to sit and be quiet. And almost every time I do that, I feel this tightness, especially around my throat. And at the same time, I've also been very curious about learning about chakra, which I would welcome any guidance that you could give me about resources. But so recently, this is something I just came up with. I would just touch my, the spots lightly with my fingers as I'm practicing the meditation, and always around my throat, there's a lot of tightness. Sometimes I feel like I want to cry. A few times I have, but the rest of the time it just feels like accumulated tear or something that wants to pour out. But at the same time, I feel like it's a gateway to some kind of gift or awakening or knowing that is waiting for me right there. And I don't know what to do with it. And I'm trying to like be more awake and trust myself and receive guidance more clearly. And what you just said about the knowing is there really, really touched me, because it's the opposite of fear and self-doubt and all of that I have been struggling in the past. So if you could just give me any thoughts about that.
Yes. Well, the throat chakra is such an interesting chakra because it's really where the higher and the lower chakras converge. So there's a lot that goes on there. Primarily, as I understand it, there are two main things. One of them has to do with surrender to the will of the divine. The second has to do with expression. And when you spoke about the uncried tears, perhaps a grief that has been unexpressed, it sounds like there's some energy that's being held down here. And so my encouragement would be to give that tightness in your throat a voice. You can write it out. You can ask the tightness in your throat to speak. You can invite the tears, the uncried, unexpressed tears, the grief, the sadness, perhaps a loneliness to speak as well. Does any of what I'm saying have resonance for you?
Yes, it does. And several times when I'm getting that feeling, I go back to a time at USM when we were doing a meditation. It was guided by you, and you asked us to give ourselves the gifts that we would want to have, like at our younger self.
Yes.
And I remember I got this image of another little girl, like almost like a twin person, walking with me, holding hands in a meadow. And it's like a companion or this playmate that I yearn for, or like this close connection. And I always go back to that time of that gift. I don't know if that means anything.
Go ahead, please.
Another thing I came up, something that I have been aware of, but I had dismissed it as something that was not important. But I realized that it was during the many trios that we had, is that I had an experience of, I had like a very abusive nanny when I was young.
A very abusive nanny?
Abusive nanny when I was about like maybe 3 or 4. And I dismissed the effect of that because it wasn't apparent. It's just a nanny, so it wouldn't like affect me. But it came up during some trios, and I also think about that when I get this.
I encourage you. It sounds like you're aware that there is perhaps unprocessed material here of the relationship with the nanny, somehow I have the sense that there's something about the gift that you received of this companion. My sense is there's more to explore there, to give the younger one inside of you, perhaps to allow or encourage a conversation between the little one inside of you and the companion. See, all of this opportunity for exploration.
So how do you suggest I do that?
First, you would start with whatever feels the most present to you and has the most energy for you. But when you spoke about the tightness in your throat, to me, that seems like a starting point, a natural starting point, because you're aware of it. When you meditate, you experience it.
Yes, almost all the time, like 90% of the time. I feel that, and that's why I'm asking. I'm trusting that there is something there.
Yes.
And I just need the tools I just feel like I would open up something amazing if I got to it, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Well, I encourage you to allow your natural knowing to guide you. Allow your natural knowing to guide you. And you know that one of the principles of spiritual psychology is healing, is the application of loving to the part or parts inside that feel hurt. So, and your heart really is a portal or a gateway to your authentic self, the authentic self level where unconditional loving resides. You could begin, if you wanted to, at night when you're going to sleep, placing your hands on your throat. And see, it's like the arms are connected to the heart energetically, the arms and the hand. And you could just channel loving energy. Ask that a blessing of loving energy be placed with your throat.
Okay.
Be placed with the tightness. But I do encourage you, it's like when you were in the program, I believe you had the opportunity to learn freeform writing. So you can give that energy that's been stuck in your throat a voice through freeform writing. Just giving it, just letting it come out. Remember, it doesn't have to make sense, doesn't have to be complete sentences, but it has information for you. And if there's hurt, apply loving and compassion and compassionate self-forgiveness. If there's judgments of yourself or someone else, allow yourself to experience it and work with compassionate self-forgiveness. If there are tears, let yourself have them. Because it sounds like for a long time, you've held your expression back. Would that be accurate?
Yes.
And I'm just encouraging you. I suspect when you learn to hold it back, there was good reason. There was a good reason for holding it back. But now, at this particular time in your life, the opportunity is one for healing, for freedom, for liberation. And so, and to know that you're safe now. Maybe when you were very young, someone told you not to express yourself or became angry with you when you let what was in you out. I don't know. But through this exploration, this can be opened up. There can be healing.
Okay. So freeform writing and And I do that. Like when I feel it and I put my finger on it, I just say like, I love you. And I send love the way you said.
And there's a bedtime intention I'm going to suggest to you. And this is really for all of us, for everyone. It's one that we're using now in the second year. And it's the intention is, Spirit, I ask your assistance in dissolving and resolving the structures that I have built inside of me that perpetuate this pattern. I ask that that be done gently and under grace for my highest good.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And do you have any resources about chakra? I just feel like I should learn about that. Or
Carolyn Mace's book, The Anatomy of Spirit, is a classic and excellent. There are many books. I like her work with the chakra centers very much.
Thank you. Carolyn, what was the last name?
Mace, M-Y-S-S.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Tabby.
Thank you. Love you both.
Thank you. All right, Mitchell. We'll take one or two more, and then Eliza's going to share a little bit, and we have a beautiful meditation that we're going to share with you to complete the evening.
I lost my window. Here it is. Hi. So glad to be here. Good evening. This whole last couple of weeks or months since the time you said we're going to have teams now till maybe this week has been like a triggering event on so many levels. And it started out with like a total freak out. It was like every trigger of every thing I ever did. Like, I don't know, it just was like, it blew me up. And I ended up not in a group at all. And I had a group, like there was no group the first week. Nobody asked me. So I said, I'll go in. I felt kind of like a hooker going into a bar, trying to find some Johns. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but it was like going around, I'm going to find a group. So I created one. One of the people in the group was asked to leave the class. I don't know the history of that. I'm not getting into that. That was a whole thing in itself. And then then all of a sudden there was no group, for a lot of different reasons. And I just went through so much about it. And I realized I've been it's sort of like just peeling back the onion on this. And I joked to Eliza, I said, I'd say I feel like a leper, but even a leper has a colony. They all sit around and bitch about things that are falling off. But then I realized my humor has been a blessing given me to survive myself, in my life. And my ministerial blessing is one of endurance. And sometimes I've joked that it's an endurance to endure myself in my own life. But as I've been doing this, I started looking at the reverse of like, what is the meaning of all these things? And came to realize that for me, being alone and just directing myself and going in a straight line on a project and doing it for myself was a very essential thing. And it's been like, sometimes, I've gone through every emotion, like how I would react to kind of situations, judging all kinds of things, judging you for not calling on me, whatever, anything that was convenient. It was just like a process of like believing my own, shit that I've been carrying. And I've been letting go of so much of this, to realizing it was really like, it's like part, that thing where you go, this is perfect. Oh, this can't be, and then like going, well, if this is perfect, this really is terrible. But in the end, I've really been going through that. And I started I'm working on a book of my photographs and my photography. And I started to really go on the ego level about it in terms of making something great and wonderful and what I was going to produce. And but then tonight it kind of all came together with all the other things that I've gone with through myself of like, this is about me getting clear on what I care about and what I love and what I do because I love, not for what it will bring me, but to really get to a more meaningful place inside of me about what I'm doing with this work. I mean, I've been doing photography for 40 years. This is, something I've been very committed to, and I'm just peeling back to where the meaning of it is for me as an essential soul level act, and not about producing a book for that part of it, even though I do want to produce that as part of my outer expression. There's been a lot of me switching my expression in terms of not working in production so much, which I find to be antithetical to me. I feel like I've really looking at just so much stuff and just clearing it that it's just taken so long to do it. And I've carried a lot of this for a very long time, going back to maybe, like really maybe prior lifetimes, but definitely even like preschool, kindergarten, nursery things that I remember. And I just, I'm not even sure what the question is, but I just feel like there's, as I'm sharing this, there's a lot of energy with me at the moment about it.
So what kind of energy?
Sadness about how my life, like, there are times where I really like kind of hated myself for like I just have this, I mean, since I was in first grade, on the back of my report card said Mitchell is a very good student, but talks a lot in class. And I think I've lived in my mind more than maybe it's ADD. And it doesn't even matter what the names are. I'm not worried about that. It's more about just not feeling like I'm wanting to connect to my soul at a much deeper level and with other people in a more intimate way. I think that was where I started, that landed me in class to start with. And I've made a lot of progress and a lot of more like unloosening a lot of things. And I just feel like it's just so hard I know it's just taking so long, but it's not really that. But
well, as I listen to everything that you're sharing, Mitchell, there's one thing that comes to me, and that is the opportunity for kindness with yourself.
Yeah, I think that's been a very one of the beautiful things that showed up is someone who's doing their DSS has asked me to do a dream journal, and part of it was about talking to my lower self, basic self, true self, child self, and that's what I've been working on directly and I just feel like that was like another piece of grace extended to me.
Beautiful, beautiful.
So,
and Mitchell, my message is really one of love and support and encouragement. Your tenacity for staying with this, for recognizing the opportunity, all that has been surfacing and been triggered through this process, and to hold into it and to work the principles and practices, the teachings in the best way that you can to support yourself. What more can you do? And what you express about your intention is beautiful, that your intention is a fuller awareness and experience of your soul.
yeah, and it's something that came up this week. A lot of things just been falling into place. There's an awareness I have that spirit has really been keeping an eye on me and leading me and guiding me. I mean, I literally met saints on the highway in Nevada, inner things, spiritual things, and it's like dealing with the world has been very challenging to me, and letting go of a lot of wrong approaches or errors in approach, that weren't, not as a judgment, but just things that I needed, I just to go through them. And like when I ask, is this the last thing? Is this like what I'm doing now? And it's like, and my guidance is always like, well, you go through this door and we'll see what's on the next door. And this might just be a path to something else. And, whether it's working with other people or working, as an artist with myself, it doesn't matter. It's, but it was going back to what I started to say is that the, like really acknowledging that all of this has pushed me to, learn to be true to myself. So that's the bigger lesson. I'm not giving it a final lesson, but it has been a lot of endurance, but there's been a lot of, I go through a lot of, I've had a lot of experiences with that. So,
what's coming to me is I would recommend that you might start a journal. And might be a good idea to do it at the same time each day so you get into the habit of it. And that you would just write one sentence, one stem sentence, and then you would take it from there.
mhm.
And that sentence is, what's most important to me is. So that you can spend more time staying focused.
Mhm.
And just see what happens.
Yeah, that's really great, because that has been, I realized that a lot of what keeps me out of my center has been, like I've been doing the clearing out. I've been decluttering for 5 years, so it's been for that's, having artwork stuff for scouting, my work stuff, it becomes a lot of stuff. And I realize I hold on to things with the idea like that thought was important, but someday I'm going to get to it. And I'm clearing that all out.
I'm suggesting you reduce it to one question.
Yes. I'm just saying I'm in that process, but that's a really good.
And you're addressing that question to your higher self.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful.
And that's all that we really need to be saying right now. I think that'll help you the most.
Thank you so much, Mitchell.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Eliza's going to share a few things, and then we're going to come back and we have a closing meditation. It's 8.5 minutes long. It's one of my favorites personally. So Eliza?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for such a wonderful evening. I just want to acknowledge everybody for bringing forward what you guys brought forward. As always, I learned so much with you, and it's such a gift to be reminded. And just the topic, what does it mean to me to be loyal to my soul? And hearing you guys go through what it means to you gives me some freedom to really look at what it means to me. And so I hope we've all received a blessing in that tonight. I know we have. So I just wanted to acknowledge you all for that. The first item I want to share with you is that due to the exciting Loyalty to Your Soul workshop that we have coming up in September, as a little reminder, that's September 9th, 10th, and 11th. It is our wonderful, as I said, 3-day workshop. It will be introducing several of USM's powerful foundational power tools. We like to refer to them as the power tools. They're like the tools that really you've heard a lot about tonight and have really supported so many of us in waking up to what it means to be loyal to our soul and how to listen and how to live from that place out in the world. I know I can just say for me, this education has been the gift of a lifetime and it keeps going. And my guess is a lot of the grads on this call tonight are probably nodding with me right now about that. So the Loyalty to Your Soul workshop is where it starts. And for grads who have maybe missed us, it's a great place to join with us again and refresh your skills. You know, we do go to the gym to build our muscles and to keep them strong. The Loyalty to Your Soul workshop is a really good gym for the USM skills. So we would love to see all of you there as well. Because of the workshop and because of some staff vacations, yay, we are going to be holding on September's Worldwide Community Gathering. There won't be a Worldwide Community Gathering in September. There's plenty of opportunity to join us at that workshop, as I mentioned, and we will be resuming in October with the Worldwide Community Gatherings. I also wanted to let you know that this incredible meditation you are about to experience will be available as a downloadable gift upon registering for the Loyalty to Your Soul workshop. It's such a fun bonus that you get along with the workshop, and you get to listen to it whenever you want. And that is available through September 2nd. So if you register through September 2nd, you'll get to take home this incredible meditation we're about to partake in momentarily. And all of those links have been put in the chat. You can register for Loyalty to Your Soul in the chat. And we love you. And gosh, I just love these gatherings and I can't wait to resume them again with you in October. And I hope to see all of you or many of you in September at the workshop. Thank you so much.
All right, so just invite you to close your eyes and we'll listen to Flooding with Loving.
Hello, this is Mary again. The next meditation that we're going to do, I call Flooding with Loving. It's a very short process. This meditation can really be used in two different ways. One is as a way of simply reconnecting with the power of the love that you already are, that is your true nature, your essential spiritual nature. The other is when you're experiencing a sense of separation from yourself, from your loving. The process is essentially the same in either case. So to begin, I invite you to gently close your eyelids and to go inside. And whatever evokes for you the experience So be it.
Nice.
All right. Well, blessings of loving and light to all of you. Thank you for being here. What a beautiful gathering. Always a blessing to be with the USM community and those new who were joining us this evening. We're so glad you did. So let's unmute everyone so that everyone can say goodnight.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
Sending back.
Love
Dreams.
everybody.
so
God
much.
bless
Good
you.
night, all you loving
God
divine
bless
beings.
everybody.
Beautiful
Thank you.
sharings.
Love,
Oh
love, love.
gosh, thank you so much.
Love.
Thank you all.
Night.
God bless
John
you.
Cheese, love that smile.
Good night, Ken. Love you both.
John, she love that
Good
smile.
night. Love
Good
you all.
night. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.